Hi, Monica and Yoshi here. This video is all about the trapezius muscle and its anatomy and function. And along the way, we'll show you how to use it to be successful in forearm stand. So whether you're a yogi, a trainer, or a fitness enthusiast, you will get something out of this video.
The trapezius is a large, flat and triangular muscle and belongs to the superficial group of muscles of the back. Located on each side of the upper back, the traps are not really true back muscles like, for example, the rectus spinae, which moves and extends the spine. So even though the trapezius is located on the back side of the body, it actually produces movements for the shoulder blades and with that the shoulder girdle, and plays a role when we tilt and turn our head. When we look at the trapezius, which has kind of a diamond shape, we can categorize it in three parts: the upper, the middle and the lower part. Or to be more specific, into the descending, the superior fibers, the transverse, the middle fibers, and the ascending, the inferior fibers. And all three groups of fibers originate from three different areas of the body. Let's talk about the origin and insertion of the trapezius muscle. The origin of the descending fibers, the upper portion of the trapezius, are those two little bumps you can feel on the back side of the skull, which are called the external occipital protuberance. And from here the origin of the muscle radiates out 1/3 along the skull, which is the nuchal line. And another part of the origin of the upper fibers is a broad tendon that starts on the back side of the head and then runs down on the spinous processes of the vertebrae C1 to C6, which is called the nuchal ligament. The insertion of the upper portion of the trapezius is the lateral third of the clavicle. So the descending fibers start on the back side of the head and cervical spine and then project down and towards the outside of the collarbone. The function of the upper fibers is to elevate the shoulder girdle, and because of the attachment on the collarbone, this at the same time creates an external rotation of the shoulder blades, and you can feel this when you lift your arms out and over your head. Another action of the upper traps is if one side of the shoulder girdle is fixed, the fibers of the non-moving side rotate the head and neck into the opposite direction or help to tilt the head and neck into the same direction. The origin of the transverse fibers, the middle part of the trapezius, is at the spinal processes of the vertebrae C7 to T3. And here the fibers are attached via the supraspinous ligament. The insertion of the middle part of the trapezius is the medial side of the acromion of the scapula, the shoulder blade. And the function of the middle fibers is to adduct the shoulder blades and to create a shoulder retraction. And the last section, the origin of the ascending fibers, the lower part of the trapezius, are the spinal processes and the supraspinous ligament from T4 to T12. The insertion of the lower part of the trapezius is the posterior crest of the spine of the scapula. Now, the actions of the lower fibers of the traps are multifunctional. Because of the length of the muscle fibers and the attachments, the fibers create an adduction for the scapulae, so moving the shoulder blades closer to the spine, as well as a depression, meaning a downward movement. At the same time, when we pull the scapulae downwards, the lower fibers create an internal rotation of the shoulder blades. So when we're talking about the trapezius, it's not just a large muscle of the upper back. It has a few important functions. The muscle is responsible for the alignment of the upper body. It supports our head and arms to a full range of movements. And because we're talking about a forearm stand in this video, the trapezius helps to stabilize the body in inversions and pulls the shoulder girdle away from the head. And with that, frees the neck. An interesting and important fact about the trapezius is that it has a high density of proprioceptive fibers. Proprioceptive fibers are neurons that allow the trapezius to monitor its length of the muscle fibers in different regions, which helps to determine where the attached body parts are in space. So going back to our forearm stand, because of the trapezius, we become more aware of our body being turned upside down and the position of our shoulder girdle as well as the neck and head.
So now that we have all the information about the trapezius, let's get ready for our forearm stand. Now there's a ton of great possibilities to prepare yourself for forearm stand and stretch and activate the trapezius. I picked 6 poses for you that I do on a regular basis before I go upside down. So let's take a look so you can try them for yourself. The first pose is a puppy pose, and the reason why I love it so much as a preparation for forearm stand is because it really opens up the shoulders. You can either do full puppy with both arms forwards or half puppy with one arm forward and resting the forehead on the other arm. Of course, you want to do both sides. Of course, everybody knows down dog. Down dog is a great activation for the traps. Just don't forget to externally rotate the upper arms and pull the shoulders away from the ears. If you like a passive stretch, thread the needle is the way to go. It's super simple. Just thread one arm underneath the other and bring the shoulder down onto the mat. You can either stay here or extend the top arm to the front. And of course, don't forget to switch sides. I know pyramid pose can be a challenge, but it's still on my list because it doesn't just open up the shoulder girdle, it also stretches the entire backside of the body. And with that, it's the perfect prep for forearm stand. And especially if you have tight shoulders, eagle arms doesn't just create an abduction for the shoulder blades, it also creates a great range of motion in the shoulder girdle, which is super helpful for a forearm stand. And a tip, don't forget to switch elbows. Obviously, dolphin is a must as a prep pose for forearm stand because it's actually the last step before you go up into a forearm stand. And with that, it's the perfect time to check your alignment for what's to come next. So let me talk you through the setup of a forearm stand. Yoshi is going to do it and I will explain it. From all fours, bring the forearms onto the mat. Elbows are shoulder width distance apart, shoulders directly over the elbows. Bring the forearms parallel to each other, palms facing down and spread the fingers wide. Extend the legs back, feet hip width distance apart and bring your body into one straight line to come to a forearm plank. From here, engage the abs, lift the hips and start to walk the feet forward to come to a dolphin. Now I know a lot of people have tight hamstrings, but the closer you get your feet towards the elbows and your hips over the shoulders, the easier it'll be to float up into a forearm stand. From here, lift one leg up without opening the hips, bend the other knee and push yourself up to come into a forearm stand. Now let me give you a few tips here. You want to make sure that you don't sink into the shoulders, so really push the floor away with your forearms. Keep the abs super tight, tuck the tailbone slightly under to get rid of the arch in the back, point the feet and flex the toes. And if you fall out of it, it's no big deal, just try it again. I always recommend that you practice at the wall, especially when you're new to forearm stand, or ask a friend for assistance. And most importantly, don't forget to have fun. And to come out of it, lower your legs one at a time, walk the feet back, and rest for a moment in child's pose.